Hello everyone. So I'm now back to give you another lesson. So for this week's SLHT number 6, we're going to have a closer look of a specific element in the periodic table. And this element is very abundant in our planet. This element is the element carbon. So the element carbon is one of the elements that compose life on Earth. And for today's SLHT, we're going to learn about its structure and its properties. This is a model of a carbon element, and it has the atomic number 6. It means that it has 6 protons. A stable carbon atom has 6 protons inside and 6 electrons that are going around it. And to count, it also has about 6 neutrons. Okay, so carbon is merely one of the elements making up the remaining 0.8% of the Earth's crust. Just a small portion of the Earth's crust is carbon. Where could this be? Yeah, because at the planet Earth, we have a lot of oxygen, silicon. It is more abundant than that. But almost all the compounds here on Earth has carbon in it. So 90% of the compounds in the products that we use are organic, or it has carbon in it. So let's go to the SLHT. So here, how does the structure of the carbon atoms affect the type of bonds it forms? Because carbon is able to make a lot of types of bonds. That's why there are millions and millions of carbon compounds, or compounds nga naay carbon. So what's so special with carbon? So number 1, because it has 4 valence electrons, carbon needs 4 more electrons to fill its outer energy level. And this can be achieved by forming 4 covalent bonds. So if you remember what covalent electrons are, covalent electrons are electrons at the outermost shell. To be stable, the outermost shell of this carbon, if you can go back here. So here, we have 4 electrons. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 electrons at the outermost. And it has to be 8. So it needs 4 more for it to be stable. So to be stable, manguha siya electrons from other elements na iyang i-bond. So it is forming a type called covalent bond. Covalent bond. Sharing of electrons. So ganahan siya makig-share. And kailangan siya 4 more. Because naan na siya 4 sa iyang outermost. So ang valence electrons sa number of electrons sa outermost. Okay. So maka-form siya og 4 covalent bonds. Let's change the color into about this one. Okay, so covalent bonds are chemical bonds that form between nonmetals. So if you remember what nonmetals are, they are at the right side of the line that we studied in the previous SLHT. Examples we have nitrogen, carbon, oxygen, and so on. So if they form bonds, it is called covalent bonds. A carbon atom forms bonds with other carbon atoms or with other elements or atoms of other elements. Next, carbon is a nonmetal in the group 4A of the periodic table. So if you look at the periodic table, there's a label up above it. It's 15A or 4A. It's 4A. And it means this number here tells you the number of valence electrons. So number of electrons at the outermost. So valence electrons are the electrons in the outer energy level of an atom that are involved in chemical bonds. So just look at this picture here. We have 4. Sa outermost ring na atay 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so 4 valence electrons. Valence electrons, or electrons in the outermost energy level. Okay. Next, the dots in this diagram represent the 4 valence electrons of carbon and 4 covalent bonds. Carbon shares 4 pairs of electrons and thus filling its outer energy level and achieving stability. So here, let us try to illustrate this one. You have the element carbon. Okay, carbon has 6. Atomic number of 6. It means napud siya 6 ka electrons. So, if you draw the Bohr model, you have 2 here and you have 4 here. 4 electrons. So, this 4 here ang valence electrons. I think I need to change the white. Okay, and then what's next? We can also draw this 4 represented by dots. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So this dots tells you na kaning upat ka electrons around the carbon mo na siya ang electrons nga pwede makig-form og bond. Ang bond meaning mo siya connection. So, example, you have carbon. Nakakita si carbon og another carbon. Si carbon kay ana siya. Makig-share silang electron. So, magkuyog sila. So, making this two. Another example, carbon. Si carbon nakakita og hydrogen. And if you look at hydrogen in the periodic table, it's group 1A. So 1 tells you na siya usa ka dot. So kaning dot diri electron, na electron man pud ni. So makig pair. Gana sila makig share. So nag-form sila og bond. Nya ang type called covalent bond or sharing of electrons. Sharing kay this is special lang jud para sa carbon nga gana na siya makig-share. Ang mga non-metals kay sharing jud sila ganahan. Dili ang electron mo balhin, mag-share sila. Meaning ang electron ni H kay naa pud di carbon ni ang kani pud na electron kay mura pug naa niya. So we will just look at that later. Okay. Then I've read this part here. Carbon shares 4 pairs of electrons and thus filling its outer energy level and achieving stability. So because this carbon here, kaning 4, para makumpleto sila, magganahan sila makig-share og upat. So ganahan sila mangita og lain ng mga electron para mo 8 na because naman tay 1 diri na 1. So, mangita silang elements nga makahatag, makashare po nilang another one here. So, if para i-count na nato tanan, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So, 8 makes the element happy. So, octet rule na puno na siya, so stable na. So, example ana is mga hydrogen. Ang hydrogen na ana siya 1. So, kani siya. Let's do that again. Unya, nakita siya hydrogen nga naapoy dot niya. Kani sa nakita hydrogen nga naay electron. Kita sa hydrogen na electron, hydrogen na electron. So iyahang i-share. Share. So that makes a compound nga mura siya naay H here. Let's try again. Carbon ni dia. So murag mao ni ang example niyang structure dito sa sulod sa compound. Okay. We can also draw it like this. Ana lang. Okay. Next, facts about carbon. Carbon gets its name from the Latin word carbo, which means coal. And then atomic number, the number of protons, tells you it's 6. So if 6 protons, it tells you also that na po siya 6 ka electrons. And then the atomic symbol is C. And then the atomic weight is this, 12.0107 grams per mole. And then density is this. Phase at room temperature. At room temperature lang, solid ni siyang carbon. Melting point, boiling point, you can read all here. Number of isotopes. Isotopes, murag lain-laing klase sa carbon nga different number of neutrons. So, isotopes are atoms of the same element with a different number, mass number and neutrons. So, lahi siya mass number. And lahi siya kani ay lahi siya gibugaton. So, carbon na naibugaton nga 12, na carbon gibugaton nga around 11 lang, na 13. So, here, nata example. Carbon 12, 6 protons, 6 neutrons, 6 electrons. Carbon 13, ang name, 6 protons, 7 neutrons, 6 electrons. So, maglahi sila sa neutrons. Isotopes, maglahi sa neutrons. Now, there are also characteristics of carbon na atay gitawag nga crystalline and amorphous. When we say crystalline, there is a distinct pattern. Crystals. Crystals have a pattern. Just like this. Mura siya na ay hexagon. Mga murag piatos nga gi-stack. All throughout the substance, balik-balik ra jud na pattern. So if naaga ni balik-balik nga pattern sa iyang sulod sa material, kay makita ra ni siya kung na mga special na mga instrument para makita jud ning structure sa atom. Basta nagay balik-balik nga pattern, muna gitawag nga crystalline. Pero basta gubot gani ang pattern, amorphous na siya. Let's try to search for that one. New window. Amorphous. Crystalline versus amorphous. Here. Kani. Crystalline, balik-balik dyan ang pattern. Sa amorphous kay, gubot ang pattern. Wala siya repeating pattern. Di siya organized. Tana lang, amorphous. Kay lihok kay sila. And then, atoms vibrate in place in more random arrangement. Random arrangement. Here, atoms vibrate in place in a fixed pattern. Kuyog yun sila. Tanan na sila yung pattern na mag-form. For example, kanya hexagon. Okay. And so are all these other examples here. You can research. Okay, let's go back to the SLHT. So we have examples of allotropes of pure carbon. Allotropes. Unsa man ang allotropes? Allotropy is the existence of a chemical element in two or more forms, which may differ in the number of atoms in crystalline solids or in the occurrence of molecules that contain different number of atoms. So, mura siya lain-lain nga form. An element can exist. Carbon gihapon siya, pero lain lang siya og kanang naiuban nga lain og arrangement sa sulod sa iyang crystal. Mauna nga malain atong tan-aw. Pure carbon can be in the form of a diamond. Kadong diamond no? Diamonds. So, diamonds is a giant molecule of carbon atoms. It is usually used in mga jewelry. And then it's very hard. It's one of the hardest nga type of mineral. Extremely hard. Used as a cutting tool. And then you can read here more, and then every atom in the diamond is bonded to its neighbors by 4 strong covalent bonds, thus leaving no free electrons and no ions. Thus, it does not conduct electricity. Ang diamond, structure ni sa sunod. For example, kaning usa ka dot here, nakabond ni siya og 1. Okay, here. Na sila murag giband ba? Just like that. Let's search for others. Structure of diamond. Okay. Here, kaning usa ka kuan dire. Let's change this one. Okay, here. Kani usa ka carbon dire, naka-bond siya other four. So now, nahimo siya 4 bonds, 4 strong covalent bonds. Okay. Then it does not conduct electricity. Next, graphite. Graphite is black, shiny, and opaque. Ako sang i-delete. Okay, graphite. This one. Ang kana ganing kon sa inyong pen, lapis na may tawag nga graphite pencil lid. Ang mga lid sa lapis ba, graphite. Black and shiny and opaque, used in pencil lids and component of many lubricants and has high melting point, good conductor of electricity. Napo na siya pattern. Is still repeating pattern. Crystalline gihapon. So, kadugay mag crystalline, ang pattern ano niya kay repeating. Okay, fullerene. Buckminster fullerene. Fullerene means hollow carbon molecule. So, sa sulod ano niya, it is hollow. Let us look at fullerene. Okay, here. Dire, sa sulod niya kay hollow. Pero mura siya og nag-combine para mahimo siyang ball. Buckminster fullerene, just like this. Hollow ni siya sa sulod. Hollow, walay sulod. Okay? Okay. Kani siya mga circle, nag-represent ni siya carbon. But still, naay pattern. Hanto na forma siya circle. So, still crystalline. Okay, next. You can just read here. Ang kuan na niya kay C60, meaning 60 kabuok carbons. Para makahimo siya murag ball. Named after the architect R. Buckminster Fuller, whose geodesic dome is constructed on the same structural principle. Nahimo siya murag dome nga nagamit siya og murag inani na pattern. Next, carbon nanotubes. So here, cylindrical na pud siya. Hollow sa sulod. Pero giporma siya kuan kanang murag tube. So mura siya og hose ba kung kuan pa nimo. Nani hollow pud sa sulod niya. Kaning mura mga carbon gyapon sila na nagunitanay. So found in energy, body armor, antibiotics, superconductor, optics, and so on. So let's look at more examples. Mura siyang hose. Grabe kaayo. Nag-combine ang carbon. Kani single usara ang wall nya kani kay daghan hantud kuan very strong material na dayon ni. Gamit ni siya sa mga wires, kanang kuan sa internet, sa sulod ana. Okay, very strong man po ni sila. Dili na sila maputol dayon because of the bonds. Okay, so we're done with the intro characteristics of carbon. Carbon is a very special element. Na siya mga characteristics. Again, summary, makahimo siya og 4 ka-bonds. So, carbon here, pwede siya makikonnect og upat. And then, napa siya other properties. And you can read here. And then, naa siya lain-lain na allotropes or lain-lain na exist in different forms. Pwede siya diamond, pwede siya graphite, fullerene. Sa fullerene, hollow carbon molecule, pwede siya Buckminster fullerene or the carbon nanotubes. Okay, so just try to answer here. Exercises, number 1, Nag-send ko clear picture sa group chat. Unya, classify, amorphous or crystalline. Yan, unsa ni siyang specific name. Okay, and then, naapod diri tayo nang tanaw diri na napod sa table. Makita ra jud ninyo unsay answer. Okay, and then answer this one. And this one too. Okay. I think that's the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching at this part. It's the siya kanang just think of it nga simple na siya nga topic, and then next na pod ato na siya pod ano gamay, and then easy ra gihapon basta mag-read lang jud mo and then ask questions. So yes, what else? Maybe na ko nakakalimtan sa PowerPoint. So, diri lang sa kutob ang atong lesson for this week, and then we will learn more in the next SLHT. And see you all. Goodbye everyone. Keep safe.